Whenever a system fails to provide basic economic dignities, minorities are scapegoated on the streets while the youth is forced into the online trap just to survive. We are fighting each other over crumbs of a formal economy that barely exists anymore. Let's look past the noise and uncover what's really happening. Hit the follow button and let's break down the global trap.
Look, check the scope, money talk, money mo. Yeah, man who say they weed it, kicking down the door. Run it up, check the scope, money talk, money mo. What? Man who say they weed it, kicking.
This Olodo Uprising that we even have right now. It's
Olodo Uprising?
Yeah, bro. It's terrible. I promise you. It's like we are trying so much to accommodate unintelligent people and ignorant people because we don't want them to feel bad and all these things. So now they're now like the majority. There's a massive attack on the educational system in Nigeria, bro. Aside from like the kidnapping and the Boko Haram, which is like, bro, those guys are literally going at that nerve center. Other factors, leadership not prioritizing things that are important, the society not celebrating academic excellence. People don't even want to go to school anymore. Like, it's just like, why?
It's Yahoo culture.
It's not even just Yahoo culture. Now we have Pella culture. So if we keep rewarding all these guys, like, people see that you just have to just do dumb, crazy shit, just go online, maybe do some obscene, whatever, and you get clicks, you get numbers, like that's what moves the needle in Nigeria. Then what are you telling, the rest of the impressionable young people out there? No shade to Pella. I have nothing against dude personally. Like, bro, get your coins by any means. But, at the end of the day, that thing is only going to be sustainable for a period of time.
Wow, that was quite loaded. Hi, hello and welcome. Nakalibitso ke Khawelo, and welcome. Please have a seat. Do you have your cup of tea with you? Because this is about to get good, okay? Oh my god. And also, if I sound nasally, please forgive me. I have been putting this video off for 2 days. I had a blocked nose, I have flu, and I had to put this off for 2 days because I was just trying to get over this so that I don't sound too nasally. I have tried recording this in those 2 days and it just sounded off. It sounded bad. So please forgive me. And with that being said, youth unemployment in South Africa, we all know youth unemployment for ages 16 to 24 is around 60%, right? And can I please just start by saying this is structural panic across the continent. This is not a South African problem, okay? The hustle for online fame has already began. It has already began, Chomi. Like, whenever countries face massive economic anxiety, the exact same cycle happens. Every time, everywhere, the script is the same, okay? Misdirection away from systematic failures. Why? Because the government or the system that runs or governs us, it's like an elephant that we don't know where to start. If we were to chow down on it, attack it, and try to bend it to our will, it's too big. So what we do, we turn to xenophobic scapegoating, while the youth, our children, are left with nothing but an insecure performative online market to survive. Right. And honestly, we all do think, this is a uniquely South African problem. It isn't. It is not a uniquely South African problem. This is a global script that everybody goes off of. Okay. And I would like to start this by first addressing the Nigerian problem, which is the Olodo Uprising, which is why you're seeing these videos on your screen. Now, let us start here. Right. When a formal economy collapses, people find highly visible, often volatile ways to survive, whether that's on TikTok live stream or marching on the streets. In June 2026, Ycee went on the Afropolitan podcast and talked about a dramatic shift in how success, intelligence, and content are being rewarded in Nigeria. And so that begs the question, who is Ycee? Who is the Afropolitan podcast? Who is Chika? And who is Ycee? First of all, Ycee and Chika are they're the hosts of the Afropolitan podcast, which is found on YouTube. They sit They describe it as a mirror to the soul of the African diaspora. They mention that they sit down every week with founders, culture shapers, and bold thinkers. That's a very bold statement to make, which begs the question: who is Ycee, and in which category does he fall under? Because they're not just inviting anybody to sit down with them, right? Cool. So first of all, let's start with Chica, right? On Instagram, her handle is at Chica Uwazi. I am so sorry if I butcher these names, you guys. I will link them down. And she describes herself as, I am a woman in my 30s learning to rebuild a life that I own. Chica is your typical podcast influencer on Instagram. A quick scroll on her page told me that she's all about fashion. She's all about beauty. She's all about her business slash career, which is the Afropolitan podcast. So she lives what she does. She walks the walk and she talks the talk, which I love about her. And her co-host is at Eche Nzinga. He calls himself Eche Nzinga. His handle is at Eche Crates, and he describes himself as building the first digital nation for the African diaspora, tech, culture, and sovereignty without borders. And a quick scroll on his Instagram told me that he actually loves art. He's into art, I think, I imagine, and probably nature too. That was just from a quick scroll. You're more than welcome to go check it out yourself, make your own conclusions. Down to Ycee. Who is Ycee? So Ycee says, I am a Deadpool with a Green Lantern's ring. And with what he pulled and just how it has trended for weeks, you know that something is legit when it trends for more than 2 days. So he is Deadpool with a Green Lantern's ring, right? And he says that he raps, he's a musician, and he's an art lover, which reigns true. His Instagram page is all about these three things. And I did listen to some of the short reels, like snippets of his music, and he's really good at what he does. And unfortunately, I didn't do a deep dive into these people. I don't know who they are outside the quick Instagram pages that I just checked out. Anyway, Ycee goes and he sits down with Chica and Eche in June 2026, and he goes there and he talks about how there's a dramatic shift in how success, intelligence, and content are being rewarded in Nigeria. So he calls it an Olodo Uprising, and according to Modern Ghana and the Guardian Nigerian News, the word Olodo is a Yoruba colloquialism traditionally used to describe somebody who is academically poor and shows slow understanding or is slow to understand. Ycee was basically saying that these people are making money by pretending to be Olodo, which is like a blatant lacking of formal polish, grammar, and honestly just academic depth. He's basically saying that these people are pretending to be dumber, or they dumb themselves down on the internet to make money. Many critics have called it performative ignorance, they've called it brain rot, and they have called it acting a fool for views. In Nigeria, the frustration looks like the Olodo Uprising, which Ycee so boldly called an attack on the Nigerian academic system. People are arguing over why uneducated TikTokers are getting rich while graduates are starving. In South Africa, the exact same frustration over a lack of jobs is manifesting in a different way. It is manifesting on the streets as xenophobic scapegoating, heavily driven by movements like the March and March. Both are systems of a broken social contract. Young people did what they were supposed to do. They did what they were told. We went to school, right? We got our metric, we got our degrees, but the formal market still shut us out. Why? Because it is shrinking, it is disappearing, and and very, very soon it will be non-existent. You guys, the formal economy, the formal industry is slowly becoming non-existent. And AI has a role in this, but not entirely. Ayethu lumsizi dube asina mali sosebenza imali asina mali Okay, but let's talk about it. Why are people scapegoating a visible target? Why are people marching against foreign nationals instead of demanding structural change? Remember what I said about the government being a giant elephant. In psychology and economics, apparently, it says that when a system fails to provide basic dignity like employment or healthcare, people lash out at the most visible, immediate targets they can find, which are foreign nationals, because they're also the most vulnerable of us. Vigilante groups scapegoat foreign shop owners and workers for taking jobs, but honestly, Chomi, the math isn't adding up because these jobs aren't stolen, okay? It is time we talk about how the formal and secure professional job market is actively evaporating right before our eyes. Alrighty, so what is the formal job market and how is it evaporating? So basically, a formal job market is your typical 9 to 5 where we contractually bind ourselves to long term agreements with companies and we promise them our labor, our hours, our mental. Okay, we promise them work, and in return we get benefits like medical aid, legal protection, pension funds, just all the ooey gooey good stuff that ensure financial security and stress-free sleep, right? So security is what we get from these contracts. So when economists say things like, oh, the market is evaporating, they don't actually mean that the work is ending or that there's no, like, there isn't a serious and honest need for people to wake up in the morning and go to work and clock in. Nah, 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 nah. That's not what they mean. They simply mean that the 9 to 5 concept is dissolving into more fragmented, more pre- precarious and short-term arrangements, aka gigs. Okay, we all love gigs. Me, I am a freelancer. Okay, what's nice with that is that you set your own hours, you set your rates, you set everything, right? And also there's the AI factor. Many companies are finding it much easier to replace certain people and certain, I guess, departments or tasks that were previously done by people with AI because number one, it is more efficient, it gets the job done faster, and it works using information that's already on the internet. So instead of a person literally typing things out to find it out on the internet, AI does it in literal seconds. So efficiency. And also this, I guess, more fragmented way of working with people, it also reduces the risk of lazy employee. So the work is getting done on time. Like you're paying this person is telling you, hey, this is how I work. You are going to pay me 10 rands an hour and I will be doing this job. And by the end of it, these are the results you should expect. If they have a timeline of a week, trust that within a week's time, that is exactly what you are going to get because they understand if they do not deliver in time and if you are not happy, then they are not getting that 10 rands, right? So, and also another thing is companies actually prefer to work with people in short-term contracts or with gigs because inflation equals higher salaries, right? Like your salary must match or beat inflation for you to survive. But if you're working and your pay is nowhere near livable, then chances of you quitting that job or just giving in far less because you're making extra money on the side, which is demanding from the energy, time, money that you could that you are supposed to actually put into your everyday 9 to 5, you know. And also another reason is that people prefer to work at home. You know, people prefer to set their hours, their rates, and to move freely without the notice, without having to hand in your leave notice and stuff like that. Like if an emergency shows up, I would really rather attend it right now rather than having to explain to my family, hey, I've put in my leave notice. I should have an answer by tomorrow. Kanako, an emergency is actively happening as we speak. And if you just leave and disappear, your job is at risk, you know? So it cancels out a lot of things, you know. And with that being said, we have to address the digital mirage, right? And how the online market is actually a trap for a lot of people, because not everyone can survive without structure, right? And as much as young people are encouraged to find jobs online, you know, we tell them, oh, just go online and become a content creator and join the gig economy. These are some truths that need to be encouraged. Number one, there is no safety or benefits. Remember, you get those with a 9 to 5. Attention tax is the second thing. The market, sorry, in this market, to make money, you need to do what Olodo coined as fooling for views, right? Because the online market does not reward intelligence at all. It rewards how long you can hold someone's attention and how much money that actually makes you. And number three, informal digital survival tools. The online market is not a booming professional sector, not in the slightest. It is what it has always been, a very short term, very temporary thing. Because how many celebrities have just disappeared that you don't know where they went, or a single rumor popped up and suddenly someone's entire livelihood was taken away from them because somebody said something. Basically, with this March and March thing, with the Olodo Uprising and all these things, we are all just basically fighting each other over a market that is rapidly disappearing. We are also being told to go hustle in a market that forces us to trade our professional dignity for algorithm and hashtags. Professional dignity is the key word here, because if you know professionally, you went to school for 4+ years to go get this paper, and you know this is not how we do things, but because an algorithm tells you, oh no, people like it when you sway away from this, when you do this that you're not supposed to do, this is how and this is what people like. You end up doing that. You end up doing that just so you can get some coin. And unfortunately, for professionals, what are your professional peers saying as they seeing this? You know, so it's a lot. It's a lot to consider and factor in. But let us look at this from a global stage, because if you thought that this was an African thing and that I was only going to make examples about South Africa and Nigeria, you're wrong, my darling. Let us look at the UK. Oh my god, in the summer of 2024, the UK exploded into violent anti-immigration riots targeting hotels and mosques housing asylum seekers, right? The catalyst was online misinformation about a tragic stabbing. But researchers and political economists immediately pointed out that the real fuel was 14 years of severe economic underfunding and a completely broken housing market and a collapsing healthcare, aka the NHS was or is still collapsing, right? And instead of holding the government accountable for economic stagnation, far right groups successfully redirected their anger towards migrants. And in the US is also not safe from this. In the US, immigration enforcement, right, which is ICE and Border Patrol, is frequently used as a hyper visible political tool to show action on the economy. Under the Trump administration and the DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mellon, ICE heavily pushes a public relations narrative framing immigrants as the primary threat to American safety and jobs. However, policy experts point out that the massive hypocrisy is that the US has severe workforce shortages, and the state level anti-immigration crackdowns, aka the Texas controversial SB4 law, actually destabilize the economy, while the underlying structural issue like inflation, corporate greed, and the rapid elimination of white-collar jobs due to AI are ignored. So, in sweet conclusion, my darling, this video ended up being longer than I intended it to be, but I didn't want to leave you with too many unanswered questions, and so I decided to just add these things in. You can just 2x the video if you found it too long. However, if you made it this far, please leave in the comments a cup of tea emoji just so I know you made it through the entire video. But in conclusion, young people are encouraged to go online because formal job markets are closed. It's true. We tell kids, start a business. Go into online this, online that, do this, do that. Listen, take a survey and get paid for it. We tell kids all sorts of things, right? But to be honest, the online market, it doesn't care about your qualification. It doesn't care about your degree. It forces you, in fact, to abandon the knowledge and skills that you gained from it, meaning all the debt is for nothing. For a lot of people, for most people, for like 60% of the people. It pushes you into the attention economy, which make you jump through algorithmic hoops just so you can buy bread. To get the coin, you have to always figure out the ever-changing algorithms. Thing about an algorithm is it changes every hour depending on what is trending, and what is trending in Pakistan can affect what the algorithm looks like in South Africa, you understand? So I tell you, it's a whole different ball game. So while we're busy stressing about algorithms, the stress outside, in the streets outside, the streets are burning over scarcity of real dignified professional jobs. So basically, to tie everything up, this isn't a South African problem that is happening. The UK, the US, they also have similar problems. They're also fighting similar battles. But even in Nigeria, they are also fighting battles of their own. It is just manifesting differently from how it is in South Africa and in the UK and in the US. These are just a few examples that I made to show how this goes way beyond. It goes way beyond these two countries. It goes way beyond March and March, and it just shows we need more empathy. We need to spread a bit more love, and we also just need to really think about things before we jump into abahambe. Let's just sit down and think about a couple of things. And with that being said, I will see you in another video. Thank you so much.
Birth, our mother, this country gave us birth, nurtured us. But what did it ask in return? Just our honesty, our hard work, our contribution. But what are we doing? We are bounded by the chains of unemployment, fleeing abroad in search of opportunity. We are trapped by the selfish games of political parties, corruption, and war and a web that is extinguishing the light of our futures. Youth, rise! We are the torch bearers of change. If we do not raise our voices, who will? If we do not build this nation, who will? We are the fire that will burn away the darkness. We are the storm that will sweep away injustice and bring prosperity. We are the fire. We will burn